This is Salma Schimmel at the AACR annual meeting for the Group Room, and this is the American Association for Cancer Research. We're in Chicago, and we're now joined by our good Group Room friend, Dr. Weitzel, Professor of Oncology and Population Sciences, Chief of the Division of Clinical Cancer Genetics in the Department of Population Sciences at the City of Hope Comprehensive Cancer Center in Duarte, California.
Good morning, Selma.
Hi,
Pleasure
Dr.
to be
Weitzel.
here.
How are you?
Good.
The promising news is that BRCA-positive patients may respond in a very positive way to some of these new therapies. And let's talk about what's in the pipeline and what we've been seeing, and why do we perhaps see that BRCA patients have better response to treatment?
Well, you know, genetics can give us insights, and what's, again, the whole theme of this meeting has been about understanding the genomic and genetic underpinnings of cancer, whether it's an acquired problem or an inherited problem. And the story, at least as far as BRCA and its unique susceptibility to treatments, has to do a lot with even fundamental concepts in tumor suppressor genes. That is, you have two copies, you lose one copy in the germline, you lose the other copy in the tumor. Now it doesn't have that gene anymore as in its expression. And those genes are important in DNA repair. Well, cells spend their whole life repairing DNA because of just things all around us in terms of, and when that function goes away, the cells become scrambled in terms of their DNA and they get cancer. Well, turns out that that's also the Achilles heel of those tumors. And so when these therapies attack different pathways, now Alan Ashworth sort of is one of the people who championed this synthetic lethality concept. These tumors are uniquely susceptible to things that attack the DNA repair pathways, the parts that were being used as a salvage mechanism for those cells. And so it's interesting to see that, for example, it's not just new medicines, it's old medicines that work better in these individuals. There's been an observation for some time that women with ovarian cancer who have BRCA mutation do better than women who don't have a BRCA mutation in terms of survival. We didn't understand why, but the observation has been there. Now we know why. It's because their tumors were uniquely sensitive, probably, to platinum-based therapy. And the platinum drugs have a unique place now, probably in treatment of BRCA-associated patients. At least it's evolving that way, because they do better in that context. Also, the genes aren't equivalent. BRCA2 seems to do better than BRCA1. We've recently demonstrated that ourselves in a paper we just put out, and there's a couple of others that have come out also about this. But so if you take the old drugs like platinum, and then PARP inhibitors, which I understand others have spoken about here on your show, those inhibitors are unique and exciting because of a couple of reasons. One is they don't actually attack the pathway that BRCA is on. They attack the salvage pathway, sort of hit them while they're down process. And so that combination of therapies, again, they talk about a lot of good combinations in this meeting. That combination can, we believe, enhance the cell killing without making somebody particularly sick. Don't lose your hair. You don't really we don't pre-medicate for nausea because these drugs are very well tolerated. In fact, some of these women, when they get a response, even just stabilized disease, which is what we're seeing a lot of, it's like a drug holiday for them. You know, they're not constantly going to the bathroom. They feel reasonably well while they're on these medications.
But many of the studies right now are not PARP as single agent, but tend to be PARP
in combination.
Yes.
Yeah. So I can address it. But in PARP and single agent, I do want to mention, because it is, we're in two phase 2 studies that did demonstrate effect in both ovarian and breast. It actually seemed to have more effect in breast because they had less exposure to platinum drugs, is some of the hypothesis. Whereas in the ovarian cancer patients, if they became refractory, they developed resistance mechanisms maybe along that pathway. But so while it has single agent effect, we're studying it now. We have a study at the City of Hope currently looking at carboplatin in combination with the PARP inhibitors.
Is this an open study?
It's an open study currently at the City of Hope and at the California Cancer Consortium, which is a number of institutions.
Are you looking for more patient accrual?
We're always looking for more patient accrual. I think our current level of the study is full, but we're open again shortly. So we're always looking for it. And because we're interested in this pathway, there are going to be other protocols coming along that have BRCA focus. And the same for the ovarian cancer realm. BRCA focus because we're looking for that niche that might have a therapeutic advantage. And so we're very encouraged by the study so far. We're using lower doses of carboplatin, yet getting very effective responses in women who are multiply pretreated with breast cancer. We have an abstract that we submitted to ASCO that was accepted and shows a pretty nice clinical benefit rate, a couple of CRs, and so we're very encouraged, especially for a population that's desperate for new avenues.
And are we also looking at PARP inhibitors for some of the other BRCA-related tumor types?
That's a great question, Selma, because we're now moving away from a tissue or tumor type therapeutic strategy to a genotype-related therapeutic strategy. And I think so, absolutely. There are papers published anecdotally, but of people being treated, for example, with platinum with pancreatic cancer and getting complete response for metastatic disease. That's unique, that's the exception, but it's sometimes the exceptions that give you the insights. And so there are studies ongoing around the world, actually, particularly Roselle's in Britain, looking at prostate cancer in men who are BRCA carriers. So we need to be able to determine whether they have that same therapeutic advantage there as you do in breast and ovary.
Dr. Jeffrey Weitzel, Professor of Oncology and Population Sciences, Chief of the Division of Clinical Cancer Genetics in the Department of Population Sciences at the City of Hope Comprehensive Cancer Center in Duarte, California.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.